Why do women come back after rejecting you? The truth is not what you've been told. It's not because she suddenly realized your worth. It's not because she secretly loved you all along. And it's definitely not because she's lonely or struggling without you. Women come back for one reason: loss of control. When she rejected you, she thought she had power. She expected you to chase, to beg, or to linger, hoping for another chance. But when you don't, when you move on, something shifts. Suddenly, you're not the man she dismissed. You're the man she can't stop thinking about. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he reached out? Why is he doing better without me? Did I make a mistake? This isn't love, it's uncertainty. And uncertainty triggers curiosity, regret, and attraction. The moment you stop caring, the power flips. You're no longer an option, you're a challenge. And challenges are what keep people hooked. Most men chase, most men seek validation. You won't. That's why she'll come back. In this video, we're breaking down the Stoic mindset behind attraction, power, and control. Stay till the end to understand how to turn rejection into an advantage and why, by the time she comes back, you might not even want her anymore. Comment "ready" below if you're ready to hear the hard truths. Let's begin. Women come back not because you convince them, but because your absence speaks louder than words. Indifference is the most powerful tool in attraction. Why? Because indifference creates scarcity, and scarcity creates desire. When something is readily available, people take it for granted. When it's rare, they crave it. Most men do the opposite. The moment a woman pulls away, they panic. They send multiple texts, they double down on validation, they chase. And the more they chase, the less valuable they become. In today's world, women are surrounded by constant attention. Social media has flooded them with likes, comments, and endless validation. They expect men to pursue, to fight for their attention. But when you don't, when you remove yourself from the equation, you create a void, a vacuum she can't ignore. This is why true indifference is so powerful. Not fake detachment, not pretending, but actually reaching a point where her presence or absence makes no difference to you. The moment you stop seeking her approval, the moment you focus entirely on yourself, your goals, your fitness, your purpose, you stand out from the crowd. She expects you to react emotionally, to chase, to break under the pressure. When you don't, she starts to wonder, why isn't he chasing me? Why does he seem completely unbothered? Has he moved on to someone better? Your indifference triggers her curiosity. Your emotional self-control shifts the dynamic. Suddenly, you're not just another guy trying to win her back. You're the guy she can't understand, the one she wants to figure out. Here's the paradox. The less you care, the more she does. When you withdraw your attention, when you become genuinely indifferent to her response, you reclaim your power. And that's when she starts chasing. Most men make the critical mistake of tying their self-worth to external validation, especially from women. They believe that their value is determined by whether a woman accepts or rejects them. If she likes them, they feel worthy. If she pulls away, they feel like they have lost something essential. This mindset is the reason so many men struggle. They've built their identity around relationships rather than around themselves. They look to women for validation instead of finding it within. And the moment a woman senses that a man's confidence depends on her approval, she loses attraction. Why? Because real confidence comes from within, not from external validation. A man who needs constant reassurance isn't a leader. He's a follower. He's not in control of his own emotions. He's waiting for someone else to dictate how he feels. And that's weakness. The truth is, self-worth isn't about whether a woman chooses you. It's about how you see yourself, regardless of external circumstances. A man who values himself doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He prioritizes self-mastery, his fitness, his career, his mental discipline. His confidence comes from the fact that he's constantly working to improve, that he's building a life of purpose. And here's the key. Women are naturally drawn to men who don't need them. When a man is purpose-driven, when he wakes up every day with clear goals and direction, he radiates a level of confidence that no woman can ignore. Contrast that with the guy who places his entire identity in a relationship, who crumbles when he gets rejected, who desperately seeks reassurance. Women don't want to be a man's source of purpose. They want to join a man who already has one. That's why the most attractive thing you can do is become a man whose self-worth is independent of any woman's validation. When you stop looking to her for approval and start seeking it from within, the entire dynamic changes. And ironically, that's when women start chasing you. When a woman rejects you, she does so based on how she perceives you in that moment. Maybe she saw you as too available, too predictable, or lacking a certain level of ambition and confidence. In her mind, she made the right decision at the time. But what happens when you change? This is where the perception shift comes into play. Women don't operate in absolutes. They operate in perception and emotion. What she felt when she rejected you was a temporary judgment based on who you were then. But what happens when you start leveling up, when your physique improves, when your finances grow, when your mindset becomes unshakable? Her perception of you must change. Suddenly, you're not the guy she dismissed. You're the guy other people, especially other women, are noticing. You're the guy who is doing better without her, the one who is thriving instead of sulking. And here's where things get interesting. Women are highly competitive by nature. They don't just want a great man, they want a man that other women want. This is called social proof. When she sees that others are paying attention to you, when she notices that your life is getting better instead of worse after she left, it triggers something primal. Did I make a mistake? Why are other women interested in him now? Is he more valuable than I thought? She starts questioning her original decision. She second-guesses her judgment of you, and that's where doubt creeps in. The perception shift isn't about changing for her, it's about becoming better for yourself. And in the process, showing her what she overlooked. And the best part? By the time she notices, you won't even need her anymore. Women don't just look for confidence, they test for it. They don't do this consciously but instinctively. They test your emotional resilience to see if you're the kind of man who remains strong under pressure or if you'll crack the moment things get difficult. This isn't manipulation, it's human nature. Women are biologically wired to seek men who can handle stress, remain composed, and lead with stability. The problem is, most men fail these tests without even realizing it. Think about the typical reaction when a woman pulls away. She suddenly stops texting, grows distant, or cancels plans. What do most guys do? They panic. They overanalyze every conversation, wondering what went wrong. They send multiple texts, trying to fix the situation. They become emotionally reactive, proving that her actions control their emotions. And when a man reacts this way, the test is over. He failed. Why? Because he showed her that his sense of security depends on her behavior, that he's not in control of himself. She is. And the moment she senses that power shift, attraction dies. Now imagine a different response. She pulls away, but instead of chasing, you remain steady. You don't react. You don't ask what's wrong. You simply keep living your life, focused on your goals. This signals true strength. It tells her, I am not emotionally dependent on you. My confidence doesn't waver based on your actions. You can test me, but you will not shake me. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes your greatest weapon. The core of Stoicism teaches that you can only control yourself, not others. You can't control whether she pulls away, loses interest, or plays games. But you can control your reaction. When you master emotional stability, you become the kind of man women respect and desire. Not because you're playing a game, but because you genuinely don't let external chaos disrupt your internal peace. And in a world full of emotionally reactive men, that makes you rare. The best revenge is not revenge, it's success. Most men, after being rejected, waste time trying to prove their worth to the woman who walked away. They stalk her social media, post pictures to make her jealous, or send messages hoping to reopen the conversation. All of this is weakness. The truth is, a man who is truly thriving doesn't have time to think about who rejected him. He's too busy building a life so fulfilling that she becomes an afterthought. Think about the most attractive men you've ever seen. Are they the ones obsessing over the past? Are they the ones constantly chasing validation? Number, they're too occupied with their own purpose, their own growth, and their own success. This is the mindset you must adopt. Instead of focusing on her absence, focus on your physique. Push yourself in the gym. Look in the mirror and be proud of what you see. Your finances. Improve your career. Start a business. Invest in your future. Your mindset. Read, learn, and develop the mental discipline that makes you unshakable. A happy, successful man is magnetic. Not because he's trying to be, but because he is. Women are drawn to men who radiate confidence, purpose, and fulfillment. When you truly enjoy your life, you don't need validation. And ironically, that's what makes women second-guess their decision. She expects you to be sad. She expects you to miss her. But when she sees you thriving, when she realizes that her absence hasn't slowed you down, it forces her to reconsider. But by the time she does, you won't even care. In a world where people are constantly connected, absence is the most powerful presence. Most men think that staying in touch, keeping the conversation going, or reminding her of their existence will make her reconsider. But that's the exact opposite of what works. The truth is, scarcity creates value. When something is always available, it's taken for granted. When something becomes rare, people start craving it. Women are used to attention. In the age of social media, validation is cheap. DMs, likes, comments. Men throw attention at them without any effort. That's why when you remove yours, it creates an immediate impact. When you walk away, she feels the void. At first, she might not notice. She might assume you'll eventually reach out like most men do. But as time passes and you remain absent, something shifts. She starts wondering, why hasn't he texted me? Did he move on? Is he seeing someone else? The more she thinks about it, the more curiosity and desire grow. That's how absence works. It creates a space where her mind starts filling in the blanks. The key is not to fake it, but to genuinely detach. Live your life, disappear from her world, and let her emotions do the work. Because when you master the power of absence, you don't chase, she does. Your ego is the biggest enemy in dating and self-improvement. It whispers lies, fuels your insecurities, and makes you act out of desperation rather than strength. Most men don't realize that it's not the woman they're chasing, it's validation. When a woman rejects them, their ego takes a hit. It's not just about losing her, it's about what that loss represents. Their ego tells them, you weren't good enough. You need to prove her wrong. You have to get her back to feel worthy again. And so they chase, not because they truly want her, but because they want to repair their bruised pride. But here's the problem. The more you act from ego, the weaker you appear. Stoicism teaches a different path, detachment from outcomes. A Stoic man understands that he cannot control how others feel, only how he responds. If she rejects him, so be it. He doesn't let it define his worth. He doesn't need to prove anything. This is where true power comes from. When you let go of needing a specific outcome, you gain freedom. You are no longer controlled by her decisions, her opinions, or her actions. You are controlled by you. Think of the strongest, most confident men in history. Were they chasing? Were they begging for approval? Number, they were focused on their mission, their purpose, their self-mastery. When you master your ego, you become untouchable. And ironically, that's when women find you the most attractive. Not because you played a game, but because you genuinely don't need their validation. And that's what makes you irresistible. One of the biggest sources of frustration in dating and in life is wasting energy on things you can't control. Most men obsess over questions like, why did she lose interest? How do I make her like me again? Is she talking to someone else? But here's the truth. You can't control her thoughts, her emotions, or her choices. No amount of analyzing, texting, or strategizing will change how she feels. Women, like all people, make decisions based on emotions, timing, and circumstances beyond your control. Trying to control her is like trying to stop the tide. It's impossible and exhausting. But here's the good news. You don't need to control her. What you can control is your mindset, your habits, and your growth. And once you master these, you'll never feel powerless again. Instead of asking, how do I get her back? Ask yourself, how can I become stronger mentally and emotionally? What goals do I need to focus on right now? How can I level up in ways that benefit me regardless of her? Because the man who masters himself becomes naturally attractive, not because he's trying to manipulate an outcome, but because he's focused on his own path. A man who is in control of his mind, his fitness, his finances, and his emotions radiates confidence. He doesn't chase because he doesn't need to. He doesn't seek validation because he validates himself. And ironically, that's the man women want. Not the one who tries to win them over, but the one who is already winning, with or without them. Most men make the mistake of thinking they can talk their way back into a woman's life. They believe that if they just explain how much they've changed, apologize enough, or make the right argument, she'll suddenly reconsider. But here's the hard truth. Words are cheap. Actions are everything. You don't convince a woman by telling her you've changed. You convince her by becoming the man she never thought you could be. Not for her, but for yourself. Think about it. How many times have you heard people say they're going to change, only to see them fall back into the same patterns? Words mean nothing without action. That's why when a man truly levels up, he doesn't have to say a word. The results speak for themselves. If you've truly improved, mentally, physically, financially, she'll notice. Even if you never speak to her again, the changes will ripple through your life. You'll carry yourself differently. You'll attract new high-value people into your world. Your energy will shift and people will sense it. And that's when something powerful happens. She becomes curious. She rejected one version of you, but now she sees a man who is thriving, focused, and unbothered. A man who doesn't need her, who has options, who is respected by others. And that curiosity will bring her back. Not because you manipulated her, but because you became someone she can't ignore. But by the time she does, you won't need her validation anymore. Because you didn't level up for her, you leveled up for yourself. And that's real power. Most men think in the short term. They want instant results. They want her attention now. They want her back immediately. And that desperation makes them weak. Short-term thinking leads to bad decisions. Texting her when you shouldn't, begging for a second chance, chasing after someone who already walked away. It puts you in a position of weakness, where your emotions dictate your actions. But the man who plays the long-term game, he always wins. Rejection is not a failure, it's a redirection. It's life telling you that you have more work to do, that you need to build, improve, and evolve. Instead of asking, how do I get her back? Ask yourself, what kind of man do I want to be a year from now? What skills, wealth, and strength do I need to build? How can I make sure that I never care about rejection again? Because the truth is, when you commit to long-term growth, the women who rejected you won't even matter anymore. You'll look back and thank them, because their rejection pushed you to become better. The man with a vision is unstoppable. Women are naturally drawn to men who are building something bigger than themselves. A man who is so focused on his long-term goals that he doesn't have time to worry about temporary setbacks. And ironically, that's when she comes back. Not because you waited for her, but because you move forward without her. But by the time she does, you'll be too far ahead to even care, because you played the long game and you won. So why do women come back after rejecting you? It's not love. It's not fate. It's psychology. Women come back because they sense power, independence, and mystery. They return when they see that you're no longer chasing, when they realize they're no longer in control. The moment you stop needing her, the moment you start living for yourself, the power dynamic shifts. You're no longer the man she rejected. You're the man she can't ignore. But here's the most important realization. By the time she comes back, you won't even want her anymore. Because this journey isn't about her, it's about you. You've built yourself into a stronger, more confident, more disciplined man. You've stopped looking for external validation, and started finding fulfillment in your own growth. You've embraced the long-term game, and now you're surrounded by better opportunities, better women, and a better life. So stop chasing, stop waiting, stop wondering if she'll ever come back. Because the moment you let go and focus on building the best version of yourself, everything changes. And when that day comes, when she finally reaches out, you'll realize you've already won. If this video gave you value, hit that subscribe button and join this journey of self-mastery. Because in the end, the only validation you need is your own.